Hi Kiwi, and welcome back to a new episode of Hades 1. We're doing something kind of crazy today. If you didn't see the title, we're going dashless today. We are going to turn off the dash button. We are going to take the aspect of Zeus on the shield. This is our mirror setup. We're going to take the Zeus keepsake, and we are going to go for a dashless 32 heat run with extreme measures 4 on. And that sounds terrifying, but I think I can do it. That said, well, first off, we're taking 1 level of hard labor, lasting consequences, maxing out convenience feature, summons extreme measures 4, benefits package, middle management, underworld customs, 1 level of force overtime, 2 levels damage control, and 1 level of tight deadline for a total of 32 heat. Now, full disclosure.
In my domain, you either find your place or learn your place. There's work enough to go around, believe you me.
Full disclosure, I am recording this in post. This was a run that I expected to be difficult, and I wanted to have all of my focus on the game rather than on providing meaningful commentary. So I figured I'd record in post for this one just to play it safe.
I shall be watching over you, young man. Though it is dark down there.
Of course, we're going to start with Zeus. We get a nice Zeus special rare tier, which helps us a lot. Most of our damage is going to be coming from the special, if not the bull rush a little bit. We're going to be holding our shield up very often just for safety, since we don't have a dash to get us out of trouble. We're going to need to... Oh, you know what? I forgot to switch my cast back, so that's all that was. But we're going to be holding up our shield to block damage a lot here. Now, most importantly, the thing to acknowledge here is just the notion that, well, we don't have a dash, which means we have given up our best survivability tool, and that means the dash is an open slot just for setting up duo boons and very little else. We want Ares here. The goal here of this run is to get a vengeful mood build if we can get it going, because then we can just hold shield and let Hades whittle away his HP for nothing. Of course, with the aspect of Zeus, otherwise we're going to go Zeus stacking as much as possible, meaning we want to stack with the special, jolted, double strike, and his legendary.
And may death follow in your wake.
So we want either Curse of Vengeance here or his attack. We get neither, so we're going to reroll.
I would like none of these.
And we still get nothing, so we take Urge to Kill, because at least it's going to increase the base damage on our actively used tools. Now, the advantage of being able to record in post is I can talk about whatever I want and not have to focus on the video as much. So Kiwi, I hope you're not feeling hungry right now, because I'm about to make you feel really hungry, because I have a lot of fun things that we've cooked recently that I haven't talked about on the channel, and I'm very excited to talk about. So first off, as a present to you from your family not too long ago, well, a couple years ago, your family gave us a nice present of a vacuum sealer that we didn't really start using that much until more recently, but as a secondary gift to that, more recently over Christmas, I believe, your family gave you these fancy Tupperware that can function with the vacuum sealer, and so we've been using them to make fancy marinades. And we had a marinade that we've been using for tofu for a while. It's a mixture of sesame oil, soy sauce, honey, and some spices like ginger and garlic, primarily a little salt and pepper. Makes for an excellent tofu marinade if anyone's ever interested in trying that. It's basically, you mix a tablespoon of all the liquid ingredients, so honey, soy sauce, sesame oil, and then you arbitrarily decide on the seasonings. We probably do like a 1/4 teaspoon of each at most, I think. Sans the salt and pepper, which we do a little bit more to taste. And then you marinate the tofu in it and then cook it in the oven. And it tastes great, but we have discovered that eggplant is basically a sponge for marinade. It absorbs the flavor of whatever you cook it in or marinate it in extremely well. And my goodness, we just applied that marinade to eggplant, and it tasted incredible. We ended up making an eggplant tofu sandwich that just came out incredible. As far as hammer goes here, Empowering Flight's probably our best option. Breaching Rush is kind of okay because it breaks armor, so that's what I ended up going with. And we see Zeus, we take Zeus. Basically, if we see Ares or Zeus, we take them, and that's without any other questions. If I'm given the option to choose between the two, we prioritize Zeus, because Zeus will offer us more, will overall offer us more, but Ares is still not a bad option. We would ideally like to get Vengeful Mood going. Anyway, so this eggplant tasted incredible. It basically was just, it fully absorbed the marinade and was so densely full of that flavor. Like it might be so densely flavored that it might be a little bit overpowering for certain meals, but with tofu that kind of has like a very neutral flavor, I bet it would go very well with chicken, for example. And Kiwi, you actually had a fun idea of doing something where we take Well, 1 second, I'll let Zeus. Oh, Zeus doesn't have anything to say. Static Discharge or Double Strike. These are both really good. I probably take Double Strike here because it sets us up for his legendary later. But Static Discharge is a really good option in terms of overall DPS. So I guess that's why I went that route. Forgive me, I don't remember this run. I recorded this episode maybe like 3 weeks ago. I just have not had the time to sit down and record. Work has been very, very busy for me. So thankfully, I still have more than enough time to catch up and dub over it. But man, the summer months are the late spring to summer months are just when I am just slammed with work. I don't have much free time for anything, and I wake up, I drive to work for an hour, I do a 12 to 13 hour shift, and then I come home driving another hour, go to bed, repeat. So I'm pretty busy, and I know it's kind of lonely for both Kiwi and I. Poseidon is really forcing his way into these shops. I'm not really that interested in Poseidon here, but I'm considering taking him just to fill in the god pool. As far as gods that we want on this build at this point, we want gods that give vengeance boons, particularly Aphrodite. So taking Poseidon here is a bit of a mistake, and I realized that later in the run, but I just wanted our 4th god locked in. Objectively speaking, I am more interested in the Zeus boons, so I think I committed at this point to just say I'm not likely going to see an incredible vengeful mood build when I just have an incredible special focused build, and I'd rather play around the special than just meme Hades anyway. Anyway, so the idea that you had for kind of how to describe it, to take what we've learned from this meal and like create an even better meal down the road, is we take this marinade and wrap the wrapped chicken with the eggplant. That would probably be really good. But then we had the idea, okay, so we've proven that eggplant is an exceptionally good marinade sponge. So what about other marinades could we do? So we could do kind of a tomato sauce flavored marinade or a pesto flavored marinade, wrap that in chicken and add either some feta or some mozzarella or just some sort of cheese, wrap that with chicken and have a grand old time.
The waters of the Styx may wash away my mark. I can restore it.
Alright, Chaos, give us something good. We're looking for special, we're looking for boon rarity, and we get HP. We don't really get anything here, so I'm inclined to reroll. The attack isn't terrible, but it's just not that great, because we need to use our attack to hold our shield up. So I'm hopeful I reroll here. And we're gonna take, and there's our special damage. The loss of being able to gain coin is pretty rough here, so I end up choosing just increased coin gain for a lesser penalty, because we need the coin to afford boons in the shop, and we need as many boons as we can get, frankly. So that's the route I end up taking. All right, so what did we do? What else have we done? So we've been exploring. We got ourselves a savory baking book that has a lot of kind of Asian style recipes, things like bao and things of that nature. It seems largely Chinese baking in general, but I think there's a degree of kind of, it's moon breads and milk breads basically, which are popular in the East. Certainly it started because Kiwi stumbled upon a Japanese milk bread recipe that was just so tasty, and we keep making it over and over again. We wanted to kind of indulge in other options. I will say this recipe book looks like it's largely Chinese recipes, because there's a lot of like savory bao type dumpling and sweet bread with savory filling sort of recipes, and a lot of words that I've never seen before that I could that with my lack of otherwise knowledge of the Eastern languages would equate to likely Chinese, like Roman, what is it, using Roman characters to spell out Chinese words. I could be wrong, and I openly acknowledge that because I'm not well educated in this area, and I apologize for my lack of knowledge in that regard. But certainly, at the very least, the recipe that we followed was definitely Chinese inspired. It was a milk bread with a coconut, a sugary coconut flavored glaze.
Calling back again, sisters. Let's get him then.
And then we made a whipped cream filling that was made through infusing tea into the cream. And this is the craziest thing, Kiwi, I swear. And you agreed with me. Like, what we did was we took I think it was a chamomile lavender tea. We heated up the cream that we would use to make whipped cream with, and infused the tea in it for like 20 minutes. And so the cream ends up tasting like this lavender chamomile tea. And that probably sounds gross to some people, but my goodness, it tastes incredible on its own, and it tastes even better when held on these buns, because it's a sweet bread with a kind of surprisingly savory flavored cream. Like, I could picture putting this cream in a ravioli, and I think it would go really well. And so Kiwi and I are starting to think up really creative and potentially chaotic uses for this tea infusing technique for different foods. I definitely think the easiest thing to pull off would probably be a tea infused ravioli. Like, if we can make, we've been eyeballing the notion of making cheese on our own, and it seems like ricotta is one of the easiest cheeses to make. I think cottage cheese is #1 easiest, but then ricotta and mozzarella are very basic, and you can get the ingredients you need, like the enzymes to cause the milk to curdle, pretty easily online. I think it's renin. Yeah, it's renin. Renin is, fun fact, renin is a enzyme that baby cows produce in their stomach to help them digest their mother's milk. Initially, like, cows are normally what? Herbivores. They eat plant matter to survive, but that's after their rumen has developed. When they're first born, their stomach is basically equivalent to a human stomach. Like, you always hear people say cows have 4 stomachs, and that is true, or at least they have 4 very large compartments to their stomach that kind of separates them out from each other. You could argue that the rumen and the reticulum are kind of so connected that they could be considered one thing, but they really aren't. They have different functions. I still do not get a single precursor to Vengeful Mood, so once again I reroll here, and at least I get Curse of Agony, which is nice for our Bull Rush. We're not doing a lot of damage with the Bull Rush, but at least now we can attack them with Doom damage, which was the hope. We were hopeful for that, I guess. Anyway, so it's a little bit of extra damage, but obviously the bulk of our damage is going to be coming from our special. Anyway, so what else do we have here? So cow stomach anatomy, not that anyone probably cares to know, is divided into 4 sections. The rumen is probably the thing that most people know about. It's the big sac that just lets bacteria ferment the things that cows eat. Then they have the reticulum, which is kind of the first compartment of the stomach. It's where food kind of falls down. It's directly connected to the esophagus, and it allows cows to kind of belch up food that they had previously chewed and chew it further. The more they chew it, the more they produce things in their saliva that help neutralize acids produced by the bacteria in their rumen, and it also it just serves to better digest their food, because otherwise they're just letting things sit in their stomach and ferment. We'll take Static Discharge. Static Discharge, getting palm levels on both Doom damage and Static Discharge, always a good idea. Athena here isn't a bad option. We don't really have a lot that we can gain from her, but Holy Shield is nice. The one downside is now I am 4 God locked in. I would like Curse of Longing if I am going to go a Vengeful Mood Doom activating ability, because they synergize so well. Curse of Longing plus Curse of Vengeance with a Vengeful Mood build, it's so strong. As you can see, I am struggling a little bit here with lack of dash against enemies that have projectiles. These rooms are definitely the roughest. Asphodel as a whole on a dashless challenge with the shield is really rough, because, well, our main means of quickly repositioning is our Bull Rush, right? But if I hold the Bull Rush for too long, then I'm committed to the full range of the Bull Rush, and that could set me up on lava if my goal is to just get as far away as possible. So I have to be careful.
Envision your success and choose the means by which you shall achieve it, Zagreus.
The other issue is, of course, if I'm holding my shield up, I can't really dash out. So I'm probably going to take Holy Shield here with the hopes that I still get a Curse of Vengeance build going. Not that it's strictly necessary. We see a Zeus boon, we take a Zeus boon, as said before. Zeus is just so good on this build, there's never a reason to not take him, other than I don't think I'd survive the encounter, which is a very legitimate consideration. But we do have enough coin to afford something from the shop, so certainly good boon RNG in the shop is something we'll hopefully see. Anyway, so back to cow stomach anatomy, because we were talking about food. Why not talk about cow stomach anatomy? That makes a lot of sense on this channel, right, Kiwi? Look, I studied a lot of animal science through undergrad and graduate. It's kind of inevitable that I will pull that up out of my pocket every now and again. Anyway, so the other 2 sections of the stomach, it was reticulum and rumen. So reticulum feeds into rumen, rumen ferments the food, and then when the food is finally kind of fully fermented and is ready to go on its way out, it travels to the omesum.
This message.
We'll take, well, I guess high voltage is probably my best option here because it sets us up for Zeus's legendary. A shame we don't get double strike, but honestly, increased AoE on our bolt strikes just makes it more likely that we're going to hit everything that we want to. And a fountain chamber here feels huge considering all the damage we're taking, but we still have not lost a death defiance, mind you, which is pretty nice. Anyway, so I don't really remember what the omesum does because it's the least interesting of the cow stomachs, I would say, and then the abomesum, which the omesum flows out into, and forgive me if you are a cow enthusiast and you know what the omesum does and disagree and say it's amazing. Kiwi, you specifically studied some ruminant anatomy, so you probably will remember this better than I have, but I have not seen a cow since I worked at the dairy, like, what, now 6-7 years ago, so it's, they're kind of out of my mind now, I guess. The abomesum, though, is the part of the stomach that is most conventionally similar to human stomachs. Oh no, I can't dash out. I'm getting, oh, this is so rude. Thank you, Holy Shield. Thank you. I was getting stun locked there because I couldn't dash away. That's so rude. It does, and my special doesn't pop them, so I don't really have a good way of dealing with Gorgon heads. Oh, this is nasty. This is actually really nasty. I'm just gonna have to like hope that I can tag them with some damage and pop them before they hit me, which is, thankfully they only do 2 damage, so it's really not that big a deal, but it's really annoying.
Of the sea are limitless, so here, you take your pick.
All right, what have you got, Uncle Moisture? Your dasher, oh, we take Poseidon's Aid every time. That's some great mobility, some great survivability, and pretty solid damage all around. I really like Poseidon's Aid. We're gonna go for the Zeus Boon here again. We see a Zeus Boon, we take a Zeus Boon. Sorry, Hermes, sorry, shop. We just got a free Zeus from the end shop, or the end room, so why wouldn't we take it? Hopefully we get double strike here, but we could see his legendary.
In the name of Hades.
And we get none of the above. Hooray! Let's reroll. Let's reroll? Yeah, we reroll.
For me.
And there is Vengeful Mood, which I did not expect to get. Apologies for the background noise here. There seems to be a very large truck driving through, assuming that even got picked up, which I feel like this microphone does not pick up nearly as much as I expect it to.
We'll have to catch up some other time, Lerny, as I'm in a bit of a rush.
The joys of using the proper mic settings to keep sound only coming from the front of the mic being picked up, but I digress. So the abomesum is the final part of the stomach that leads out into the small intestine, which is its own can of worms, metaphorically and literally with cows. We don't need to go into that, but the point being the abomesum is most equivalent to the human stomach. It produces stomach acid. It digests things mechanically and chemically in the fashion that you'd expect a human stomach to function. But the interesting thing about calves, and the reason why I bring this all up, is calves, when they are young, their stomach basically is positioned in a way that the abomesum, so the final stomach, the human equivalent stomach, is basically directly, well, almost directly connected to the esophagus, or the entrance of where all the food comes in. And they eat basically the way a person would. They primarily focus on digesting food mechanically or chemically, not fermenting it with the bacteria that grows in their gut. And so baby cows, their stomach is really, they technically have 4 stomachs, but they're only really using one of them. And that's why they produce the enzyme renin, which helps, that it's produced by the abomesum, I believe, to digest that milk.
Were never meant to fly.
And that is the enzyme that we have found a way to create or harvest or whatever it may be, to then use to create cheese.
You surpassed my Hydra.
And not all cheeses need to be made with that, but it's definitely one of the easiest ways to make it happen. These are all terrible boons that I have to sell, but I think I probably part ways with Curse of Agony because it's the least necessary in this build. No, I go with high voltage. Okay, well, there goes my opportunity to get Zeus's legendary, but it's fine. Honestly, I think it would have made more sense to let go of Curse of Agony, but I guess maybe my hope was because I want to make a Vengeful Mood build going. I wanted to keep Curse of Agony so that I can get Impending Doom and Dire Misfortune, which would up my Doom damage pretty substantially with a Curse of Vengeance build. I am holding on to this stream of Vengeful Mood so hard here, and it's just, it's a waste. I remember it just not coming to fruition. I take the coin purse because I realize, like, let me just get what boons I can get. Realistically speaking, Vengeful Mood, it's really not going to do that much for us. We have one Vengeance boon in the form of Athena's Vengeance boon, and that does no damage. We don't have Curse of, we don't have, I'm forgetting I'm forgetting Zeus's Vengeance Boon's name, but we don't have Curse of Vengeance. We have Holy Shield, which is nice, but it's nothing without more damaging boons like Curse of Vengeance and Vengeance of Lightning or whatever it's called. I can't remember. Either way, we have reasonable damage, but we really do need something to help this build pop off. We've got, like, this is a jack of all trades sort of build at this point, but we have reasonable survivability, and I think that's what's most important to recognize. Holy Shield will save our arse time and time again. Anyway, that was a whole lot of cow anatomy just to talk about the enzyme that we would use to make cheese. I don't even really remember how that tangent started.
On you, boss, and bring you this.
But, oh, it was because we were thinking about making flavored ricotta. That's why. Alright, as far as what Hermes boon I take here, would love to see a setup for rush delivery. I can't get that, so I'm going to take auto reload here and hope that we can set up for bad news, which is a nice universal 50% damage up as long as we don't have a cast stone lodged in an enemy, which we're not really going to be doing. Anyway, let me see. What else can I say here? So, oh, here's another fun thing that we've cooked together. Still vaguely cheese related. We made an eggplant rollatini pizza, homemade. So a while back, so when I was in undergrad, my undergraduate college had a pizza bar, I would call it. It's not really a bar per se. It was just a counter where you could order pizza. And they would cycle through various specialty pizzas, usually with whatever leftovers they had from the previous day's food, I assume. I make that assumption, I have no way of confirming it, but it's quite likely. Point being is they often had a variety of pizza flavors available, and one of my favorite pizzas that they offered there was the eggplant rollatini pizza. For those who don't know, eggplant rollatini is basically fried eggplant wrapped in ricotta. Or wrapping ricotta, I suppose. Stuffed with ricotta, however you want to phrase it. Basically, it's fried eggplant and ricotta. Folded together so it's a little spiral, kind of like a Swiss roll or a Swiss roll or a spiral roll, you know, the sort that you get from bakeries that are like a sponge cake wrapped around jelly, but instead it's savory. It's the savory equivalent of that with eggplant and cheese, and they would put that on the pizza, and it tasted so good. It tasted so darn good. Another level on the special is probably our best option here, I guess. It's not really that great. It's 8 more damage, which feels rather lackluster, but I guess it adds up quickly. Not quickly enough. Another fountain chamber. We got so lucky on this run, Kiwi. Honestly, a level on Poseidon's Aid feels pretty good. Poseidon's Aid scales really well with palms, I would say, because it's a fixed damage boon. And of course, we see Zeus. We take Zeus. Say it with me, kids. And we get Butterfly Ball, which we should be able to melt relatively well with this build. Hopefully we can see a double strike going, or I wonder if, like, if I get offered the Vengeance Boon, if I end up taking that instead. Would feel a little silly since I don't think I'm going to really be able to build well with this, but we'll see. Anyway, the point I'm trying to make here is, back to the point I was talking about, the eggplant rollatini from grad school was so tasty, and I convinced Kiwi to make it with me once before.
Useless.
But we haven't made it in a very long time. But the more I talked about it, the more Kiwi got in the mood for it, to the point where, like, you know what triggered it? It was because when we were out with my parents, Kiwi got eggplant rollatini for dinner, and she remembered how good that stuff is. It's pretty darn tasty. And so she's like, you know what, this would go great on a pizza after I bring it up. And so I convinced her to make eggplant rollatini pizza with me, and it came out so good. My goodness, Kiwi. I, as a kid growing up, hated the taste of ricotta. And I don't know what changed. A lot of things changed. I used to hate spinach. I love spinach now. I used to hate peas. I love peas now. I guess I got older and gained a taste for things. Really, we do not get anything for our build that we want. Billowing Strength or Clouded Judgment aren't terrible, though. I think, I'll take Clouded Judgment here because Poseidon's Aid is actually a really good DPS option for us, as well as offering survivability. So it just makes it so we can survive a little bit easier and do more damage if we can fill up our God Gauge faster. Because the fun thing about this build is I can toss out my shield and then toss out Poseidon's Aid, and then just kind of DPS with both at the same time. The shield's stationary and it's not coming back to me. So I can have enemies just tanking 2 sources of damage that just add up to a whole lot at once. Anyway, where was I? So that's why we ended up doing eggplant rollatini pizza, and the outcome was just so good. What else have we cooked? I mean, we made a we found kind of a Greek style marinade back on the topic of marinades, I suppose. I don't know how to explain what it tastes like unless I give you a direct comparison, but if you've ever gone to a Greek restaurant and you've had that kind of it's Greek dressing adjacent. It's not. It might actually be as close to Greek dressing as I can get it to be without putting anchovies in it, actually. But I guess it's the equivalent of a Greek dressing. We marinated eggplant in that. It tasted incredible. We marinated peppers and onions and mushrooms in it, and it tasted incredible. Made for an excellent sandwich too. We've just been having so much fun cooking things together lately. We go for the palm here. We put it on static discharge because that's going to be more damage than Poseidon's Aid overall, and we can still afford the Athena boon. We do not really get anything we want, but brilliant riposte it can set us up for Athena's legendary. Alternatively, I take her cast for the damage it gives. I think I probably would go for, or I just take the damage reduction. Sure, why not? I guess we are taking enough damage that it's worth considering. We take Patroclus here for the free chamber and the HP that it will give. I don't think we're really going to want to put it onto our attack. And of course, let us get our fishy here, please. I'm trying to think, what else have we cooked recently?
It's a sea mare.
That might be the extent of all the exciting things we've cooked, but I appreciate that you can get fishing chamber, or
May be of use to you, stranger.
I appreciate that you can get fishing spots in here and that they comment on it. There was actually some specific dialogue about it too. Yeah, I just go for the HP here. I feel like the attack up is not going to matter too much. We take the hammer here, of course, because we want more. The hammer can potentially give us more damage. I will say, I feel like overall, the shield has some of the weakest hammer options overall, comparatively speaking to the other aspects. Like, the fists have like pretty much nothing but winners in terms of hammers largely. The rails can have some pretty incredible. The bow has some insanely good hammers. I feel like it's really the spear. The spear has very good hammers too. Don't get me wrong. It's just that it's sometimes really hard to get the synergies you want because it has so many options between the spins, the special, the attack. And so it's hard to get the build you want when you only have 3 options to choose from with those hammers. So I won't say that the spear has bad hammers, it just has unreliable hammers, or more unreliable than the other options, where I feel like no matter what I get, I'm going to have a boon that I want to use in some capacity. And then if we look at the sword, I feel like the sword, aside from double edge, it has a lot of like really bad hammers. Like Hoarding Slash is terrible. It sounds good on paper, but then when you actually look at the damage calculations, it doesn't get affected by any of your damage modifiers. It is a flat damage added to the final calculation, so it falls off, or it takes forever to scale, and it disincentivizes you from spending your coin, which will get you boons that objectively are better than that hammer, or make you do more damage than that hammer will ever let you do. Dash Strike isn't bad here. Pulverizing Blow isn't bad here. I might just take Sudden Rush so that I can dash around faster, honestly. Looks like I'm stuck between Sudden Rush and Pulverizing Blow. I end up going with Sudden Rush though, because it'll let us dash more often and more quickly. Of course I get caught on that fan. I always get caught on that flag. We get Sea Storm, which is really funny here. Makes our call do a little bit more damage, so I'm not going to complain about it. And we toss another level onto the call, because the call is going to do a lot of damage for us, especially if we get hit. It's our get out of jail free kind of card.
Come, Hellspawn, and get destroyed by the 2 greatest fighters in Elysium.
All right, Asterius, you heard the man. He wants to get destroyed. I'm gonna pull that joke every time I get the opportunity to do so. I have so many like default responses to the things Theseus says. Like, he'll give me no quarter, I'll take a nickel then. That one, I don't know. I just like to. Theseus is probably one of my favorite characters in the game, just because he's just so easy to taunt for Zagreus, and the banter that he and Zagreus have is just very comedic. And then Asterius is just the cool, chill, wants to fight meathead in the background who's like, I have nothing against this guy, but I am I'm sworn brother in arms with Theseus, so I'm gonna go along for the ride regardless. I don't know. They're a fun couple. They are a fun couple. I hope we get to see them in Hades too. No idea if we do or not. Anyway, where was I? I'm trying to think what else is there. I don't know. I don't know what else to talk about in terms of what we've cooked. Like, look at all this damage we do. We toss out the special if we can keep Asterius in it. And even Theseus ends up going into it too, so we're just getting all of this free damage for for 0 punishment.
You'll gain no quarter from me or my good companion over there. My chariot again?
His chariot again.
Lord Dionysus, lend me your power.
I mean,
That was my friend.
because the milk bread required milk, we bought milk. We still have a whole bunch of milk left over. I don't think we're going to be making cheese since we're going to be traveling soon.
You fiend.
Or we're not going to be around to really use the milk and enjoy its outcomes. So what we're probably going to do is we're going to make an Alfredo sauce out of it again, and then
Supportive shade.
we will freeze it and save it for a day when we don't feel like making dinner. Admittedly, we already have done that for two other Alfredo sauce
Patiently at work
portions.
Instead of resting here.
So we're just gonna have a freezer full of Alfredo sauce, which is different from usual. Usually it's full of either partially eaten ice creams that we've made that we're saving for later, or baked goods that we wanted to freeze so we didn't just eat a
Could use the extra coin.
48 blueberry mini muffins.
More obols, more suffering.
More obols, more fun.
One last stop.
Of course, onto the final floor, I believe we took the Acorn because the Acorn is just such an incredibly good defensive option. I will say Extreme Measures 4 is where it has the hardest time showing off for Hades. The main reason being, if you get the Sneak, or the Butterfly Balls especially, or the Giant's Void Stone, is it? No, not Void Stone. Gemstone, Giant Gemstone, I'll just call it the laser guy. They have a lot of rapid fire attacks that can pop your Evergreen Acorn immediately. We see one Zeus spoon here. We've got mini bosses in Poseidon and Palm, so I go for Poseidon first. Generally speaking, it's always better to go for the mini boss chambers first. Mini bosses, especially when you have enough damage, are generally easier to kill than a full chamber of sticks at the end of the chamber, where you have that big open room with traps and satyrs and snake stones. There are just so many things that can do a ton of damage to you in quick order, and they're usually spread out, which makes them take longer to kill. Not to mention those rooms, I am super prone to taking trap damage, and not that there aren't mini bosses with their own traps that can do 100 damage with hide and security on, but you know, everything's fine. Everything's fine. I'm not gonna die. But the thing I learned about running this build that I can remember is it is difficult to play this game without a dash. It turns out your main defensive option is, well, your main defensive option, and giving it up makes the run exceptionally harder. But that said, the shield is such a free way to do it. Because while you lose your, well, that was foolish of me to just sit under the trap. I will say, like, not having a dash is most notably difficult in rooms where there are a lot of traps, or especially Asphodel, where you can't really easily reposition. But that said, the shield, if you hold shield, you can block so many sources of damage. But here, for example, the guillotines are a pain to deal with. If you get unlucky with rat positioning and they drop their poison under the poison cure antidotes, you're going to constantly get poisoned and not be able to cure it. We go ahead, let's see. I think of these options, I end up taking Typhoon's Fury. It's going to do nothing against Hades, but it will let us kill Styx mobs a lot faster with our call. There weren't really any good options there. We take the Zeus spoon here for sure, though. But we take the fish first and foremost, because the fish is most important, right, Kiwi? Gotta send, I mean, we need to eat. We need to feed the chef, and the House of Hades needs fish, right? I wonder if they actually talk about if these, the mortals who are in their afterlife here actually have need of food or drink.
I got one. I caught a scuffer.
Clearly they enjoy food and drink if offered.
Thank you, mate.
All right, we get double strike, so that's a nice little DPS up for us on our special. We really have nothing to make Vengeful Mood even worth contending with at this point, though. But I go for the second mini boss shop because I realize at this point the odds of me getting Zeus's legendary aren't 0 at this point, because we do have double strike. But overall, it doesn't feel that great. But look at that. Like, I just hold shield, let my special do the work. That is the strength of Aspect of Zeus. That is the reason why it is the default go-to 64 heat weapon, because it just blocks so much damage. And it does so much damage. Its DPS potential early game and post game is incredible, and it's not that hard to get a Zeus build going, honestly. What do you need? You need, at minimum, you need double strike, the special, and static discharge, and then you have very solid damage for the rest of the run. If you get Zeus's legendary, that's the icing on the cake.
Oh, what is this stuff?
All right, so we go ahead and put this on static discharge. Level 5 static discharge does a whole lot of damage, even if it is at its lowest rarity. But yeah, that's why the Aspect of Zeus shield is so good for 64 heat. Is that to get it fully equipped with what you really want, it doesn't take that much. Now, I was contemplating taking the Zeus spoon there, but I decided
moves for no one, but for Satyr's axe. he could make an exception.
Like I was saying before, the risks of doing a full-size Stator Chamber or Styx Chamber are pretty high, and I felt that my damage was good enough, and I have Vengeful Mood. I don't have a lot of Vengeance Moons, or I don't have any Vengeance Moons worth talking about. Holy Shield is just keeping us alive. Every 3 seconds I am invulnerable, which is quite nice with Vengeful Mood, so I'm not going to complain about that. That comboed with Poseidon's Aid gives us a lot of survivability, and our special has all the
The
damage.
sea and air are very still this eve, though I suppose that is about to change.
But alright, let's go into this Hades Dashless Extreme Measures 4 with the aspect of Zeus. An okay build, I would say, and show off how powerful this shield is. So I'll probably do it later in this fight. I'm gonna fight him legit for at least a little bit, but there is kind of a spot that just makes this fight so much easier on Extreme Measures 4. The most important thing to recognize with this sort of a run is that you need to play safe. So this is the safety corner. If you sit in this corner and just bull rush back and forth, you can kind of block most of Hades' damage while also keeping him around the special. So I just leave the special hanging out here and then bull rush back and forth. This kind of gets trivialized by Hades a little bit once he starts using his, once he starts summoning his friends, and as you can see,
Heed me and rise from the earth to do my bidding.
as you can see, I am burning through my acorn charges very quickly, and getting a Skull Crusher here isn't ideal, because I think the Skull Crusher can kind of avoid your shield and get behind you and hit you regardless of you holding it up. But on the bright side, we do absolutely melt it with our damage. Like, we don't have a high level double strike. We only have a 1 in 4 chance of double striking, but double strike does so much damage because it's just making our lightning bolts hit twice. Jolted does a bunch of damage, and I think Jolted triggers a lightning bolt to fall. I could be mistaken about that, but if that's the case, then that also does a lot. And thanks to Typhoon's Fury, we just absolutely destroy the giant, the giant gemstone, the laser stone. So, like, Poseidon's Greater Call with the number of bombs we've gotten on it, plus Sea Storm of all things with Double Strike, it's pretty funny. We have a lot of damage, and we melt through phase 1. We don't even come close to losing a Death Defiance there. But the basic idea with the aspect of Zeus is you toss out your special, you use your Bull Rush to basically function as a dash to get behind Hades, and then you're fine. And when you see him wander off instead of charge at you, you know he's going to start summoning lasers, so you back out and then get hit by them anyway because you're a little too early. Oops. Of course, pots are going to be a huge threat because we do have, I think we do have a heightened security on, which just makes those pots basically one-shot you. I have 150 HP, so yeah, a pot one-shots me. But if I toss out my special, which I unfortunately forgot to do here, and then toss out Poseidon, I can just slide around Daddy Darkness, and he can't do anything for us. It's Uncle Moisture versus Daddy Darkness, and Kiwi, I am so sorry I gave them those nicknames, but I have to talk about them. It just ruins everything. It just makes everything sound so much worse. Alright, he's going for lasers again. Again, the easiest way to tell that Daddy Darkness is going for lasers is that he, rather than charging at you, runs away. And often his pathing when he walks away is kind of weird. Don't fall for it always, because sometimes he does just tuck his spear like that, and you're going to get punished for that for sure. But once again, you see him walk away from you instead of running at you, you know he's going to laser. Unfortunately, he is somehow standing just on the outskirts of my special and not taking any of the damage from it. Here comes Cerberus. So the trick to Cerberus is you can pause buffer. You unfortunately cannot shield it if you're... in theory, I think you can shield those rocks, but you have to be standing such that your shield is facing the majority of the circle. I could be mistaken about that, and I wouldn't risk trying it if you don't have to, because that does 60 damage. It did bring our God gauge up to full, and we have lost 1 Death Defiance. We're on to 3rd phase, though. Like, this is going pretty darn cleanly. The darkness makes Hades a lot scarier, though, because you can't see where he is, and if he summons his little bloodstones, you can't see where they are, so you have to be way more reactionary, and especially in a build like this where you're using your Bull Rush to constantly dash around, you can't see where the pots are either, so you're at risk of getting hit by them. But I am using Poseidon's Call a lot for safety, because I'm basically using it to get out of his attacks. The shield does in fact block the pots though, which is another important thing to recognize. Okay, good news, I don't have heightened security on, because that pot would have one-shot me there. It would have cost me a Death Defiance for sure. But you can see right there, I almost dashed into a pot because I couldn't see it. It's difficult, it is very rough, but we generate God Gauge so incredibly quickly now. probably will end up finishing him off with a Greater Call if I have the option of doing so. Because Uncle Moisture sure has carried the run a fair bit. There we go. Greater Call is active. I unfortunately recalled my special right before I activated it, so we don't get the full damage. Not that Hades would have stayed in it anyway, so no matter. But like, again, Poseidon's Call gives you so much free damage. I unfortunately walk out from the barrier here, so I get hit. We've got one Death Defiance left. The run is getting close, but I think we can do this, Kiwi. I'm pretty sure we've got this. I mean, I have the advantage of foresight here, so I know we've got this. But like, it does get a little bit closer. But there you go, Kiwi. 32 heat, extreme measures 4, dashless, entirely doable, especially with the shield.
For a student of Achilles, I fear that you surpassed even his skill by now.
Yeah, Achilles would have had to dash.
Let's do this again.
I had thought about doing a 32 heat extreme measures for Achilles spear dashless run, but that's so much harder because you actually genuinely do not have any defensive options whatsoever. Could probably make it work with an Athena special build, but it doesn't have a lot of damage potential, which is the one downside to it. Anyway, this is a fun end slate. Aspect of Zeus, Sea Storm, Vengeful Mood, Thunder Flourish, and Poseidon's Aid, which certainly did us a lot of good. 136 total win streak. Still going strong on this 32 heat challenge run.
Upon the surface realm, the mortal-loving prince would doubtless find that death still comes in a variety of different forms. One of the most common, yet perhaps least interesting, involves simply waiting long enough until...
And we're getting pretty close to the end of the challenge now. Like, I think we only have a couple more weapons to go, which is really exciting. This has been really fun. It's forced me to learn how to play the sword and the spear better. I found really fun synergies and silly ways to break the game. Like this last run, I mean, certainly when I started playing Hades, and certainly for a lot of people, I imagine.
See you next time you die, okay?
The concept of a dashless run, especially against Extreme Measures 4, just doesn't seem possible.
The fates be damned.
And certainly when I started playing this game, I definitely would have agreed with that. But
Cerberus is busily considering upon what else to gnaw.
I guess it's worth noting that I have gotten better at Hades. I have certainly gotten better at this game. I do worry when I start playing Hades 2 with the mechanical changes that it has, if this will translate well, or if I'm going to be way more prone to dying because of the things that I use.
Satyr outbreak to look out for next you venture there.
Where my defensive options here just aren't available.
Oh, hello, Zagreus.
Hello, Orpheus. All right, Kiwi.
Any good pointers lately?
Well, I hope you enjoyed this silly run.
I'm supposed to be at work, so I can't talk, okay?
All right, keep up the hard work, Jusa. Yeah. I really thought the goddess of the hunt was looking out for me. Cause of death, trampling. She was, I think she probably was, but she was also looking out for the thing you were hunting, and you were the hunted, unfortunately, in that scenario. Situario. Situation scenario combo there, I think.
Let circumstances rattle your resolve, child.
Anyway, Kiwi, I hope by the end of this episode you are feeling extremely hungry and want to go make more eggplant rollatini pizza or some fun baked good, because my goodness, I am very hungry and I'm going to go do that right now. Well, I'm probably just going to melt some hummus, or melt some cheese and hummus onto a slice of tortilla, or onto a tortilla, a slice of tortilla.
Here, what?
Kiwi, I'm going to go back. Maybe I'm just going to go to sleep. I'm going to eat and sleep. Kiwi, with all that said, though, I hope you've enjoyed watching, and if you're awake, I hope you're looking forward to an Aspect of Hestia run, because we've only got a couple... I think this... Oh, you know what? This is the second to last run. The Hestia Aspect run is our last run on the challenge. I'm realizing that now. So, well, Kiwi, I hope you've enjoyed watching, and if you're awake, I hope this is helping you fall asleep. If you're sleeping, I hope you're sleeping well. Go make some pizza with me, please. I love you, and I'll see you in the next one.
Breaking a vertebrae.